Yes. Welcome back to another episode of Go Long Live. I am your host, Barry Long II. Not the first, not the third. I am the second. We are live on CoachellaValley.com. We are live on today'sCalifornia.com. We are live on today'sCanada.com. We are live all over the Twitterverse, all over the metaverse, all over the universe. And real quick, shout out to my man, Rudy Ramon Reyes. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. You eating?
Yeah, we all have to get our food in. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question real quick. So just so people can get to know Rudy Ramon Reyes, what is your favorite food, brother?
It was enchiladas.
Enchiladas?
Not anymore. Not anymore. There's no enchiladas.
What's your new favorite food
process. Chicken enchiladas.
Chicken. My favorite food, brother. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Raw onions.
Wait, what?
Raw onions. I gotta have raw
Why?
onions. Every burger that I eat, every taco that I eat, everything that I eat, I love raw onions on the side of it.
No, I'm good.
Are you an onion fan? Are you an onions fan?
No onions for me, thanks.
So when you order In-N-Out burger, you ask for no onions?
I can only eat it twice a year.
You can only eat In-N-Out twice a year? Explain this to me, brother.
Okay. So I have this thing called esophageal varices, which disables me from having red meat. Now, I can eat it once in a while, but predominantly, if you're going to go big, you may as well do it right. And that's with an In-N-Out burger. Not that this is a plug-in for In-N-Out at all.
Shout out to In-N-Out. They'll be a sponsor.
But yeah, I love In-N-Out. They're fantastic. You guys go, welcome to come along and jump aboard this wonderful starship we got going on, because I love my animal fries, but I can only eat a hamburger twice a year.
Twice a year? All right. So I have this theory that I want to be a vegan, right? But I want to be a vegan that only eats steak once a month. But maybe
you're not a vegan. If you're talking about being a vegan once a month, you are not a vegan.
I mean, it's something about steak and something about bacon that I just cannot let go, man. Like I will get better.
Then you're not a vegan. Your desire to eat meat makes
partial
you not a
vegan. I mean, somebody out there can feel
part-time vegan. You may as well put yourself right next to Kyrie Irving being a part-time NBA player. Part-time vegan.
There you go. We are a national syndicated sports show. We talk about the top stories and events in sports, and we have some major action going on this weekend. We got the Bengals versus the Titans. They will be playing Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, and I want to know who you got and why, Rudy Reyes.
I love the NBA. I love the fact that, sports is a part of our life, and that's what we do. Man, Bengals, Titans, that's going to be tough. You have Derrick Henry possibly coming back. He's more erring on the side of being there versus being not. I love the fact he's just a big guy. I had a press conference today I was privileged to listen to, and there was a lot of questions surrounding his availability. But, of course, the best ability is availability, and I do like him coming back. Now, think about the Ryan Tannehill story. He spent most of his time in Miami, being a guy who ultimately most people didn't think that he was the guy. He was the man on campus in Miami. But again, it's an organization that seriously needs some help from the inside out. But the Ryan Tannehill story is absolutely fantastic. The guy has a lot going for him.
He's been
fantastic under Mike Vrabel so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Take it back to Texas A&M. He was highly recruited, and then once he got to Miami, he kind of just fizzled out, and everybody really did not think that he was going to be a starting quarterback for a long time in this league. And what he's been able to do in Tennessee is just fantastic. And I am a Ryan Tannehill fan. How about you?
I'm more of a Mike Vrabel relationship with Ryan Tannehill kind of fan, because they learned so much and have learned so much from one another. It's kind of interesting to see how much Ryan Tannehill's grown up since being a part of the Tennessee Titans organization. It's been nothing short of stellar, and I don't know why it's not being talked about more.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, just Mike Vrabel came in there and really got the most out of Ryan Tannehill, and it's been exciting to watch. And it helps when you have Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the best security blanket that you can have as a quarterback. And I mean, The thing about Derrick Henry though is that he's going to come in and he's going to need a lot of carries, and sometimes it takes Derrick Henry, those 3 or 4 yard gains that he gets in the first and second quarter, they turn into 6, 7, 8 yard chunks in the second half, and sometimes he needs a lot of carries to get going, and that's the only thing that I worry about him. But I do like the fact that they got other guys involved in the running game, and Derrick Henry will only add to that. But I definitely think that the Tennessee Titans are primed to win this game, and I'm excited to watch Derrick Henry back in action.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Big guy. He hasn't played football in 2 months, so you really have to beg the question whether or not he's football ready. He's been in some contact drills, 2-on-1s and things of that nature, doubled at the line. He seems to be playing just fine without any real issues to speak of. The biggest question that I have, whether or not he's going to come out of the gate and be the guy that we've seen basically dominate defenses for the last couple of years, known as King Henry. Of course, not the 8th, not the 5th, not the 6th, but King, and not even the 2nd, I don't think. I think he's number 1. But to me, great story, great guy, very humble, very well-versed. And I expect for him to really come out of the gates firing on all cylinders. You got to get the guy warmed up, though. Get him a couple carries, a little bit here, a little bit there. But I think Derrick Henry is going to be just fine in the long-term scheme of things in this game.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the Bengals side of things, because a lot of people have been surprised that the Bengals have been so successful so early on in Joe Burrow's tenure as the quarterback of this team. And man, that yogurt looks good. but yeah, Joe Burrow, I just got into a heated debate the other day with somebody and just telling them that, basically I feel like Joe Burrow is ready. He is the difference. This guy was telling me that Zach Taylor is the difference. And I understand that Zach Taylor has come in and he's been a great head coach this season, but I feel like the difference in this team is Joe Burrow, and I feel like the front office went out and got Jamar Chase, and that was probably the best move that they could have made, because the familiarity between Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, it just works. Like I can see them literally being one of the best quarterback wide receiver tandems in this league for a long time to come. But Joe Burrow just seems to have the swag. They call him Joe Cool. He just seems to have like the wherewithal. He just seems comfortable, and he seems like he's ready for this moment. What are your thoughts on Joe Burrow? Is he a superstar?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I do like Joe Burrow. The guy has came back, and we've spoken about this before, Barry, in regards to what his durability, what does he look like under center, that injury last year that prevented him from being the guy that we really wanted to see, expected to see, growing up right in front of our eyes, to be honest with you. In the pocket, he just looks like a consummate pro. The fact alone that he has that type of relationship with the wide receiver and Jamar Chase just makes things that much sweeter when you put in the element of the new head coach. Zach has been part of the difference in between basically putting this team together and putting the team on Joe Burrow's back. Joe knows this. He knows it full well. He did it at LSU. He's done it while he's been in Cincinnati. Honestly, this 1-2 punch between him and Jamar Chase, absolutely fantastic, has worked for them all season long. I would like to see a lot more receptions in regards to what Chase is going to get from Joe Burrow, the looks, maybe putting him in the slot. I think that overall, this is probably going to be one of the best AFC games we're going to see. Clearly not the AFC Championship game, because this is a divisional game, but I do like where they're going. And if you keep everything being equal, both of these guys playing at the highest level they possibly can, should be around for at least 10 to 15 years. I can maybe see a Joe Montana / Jerry Rice combo for at least the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. And the thing about it is,
comparison.
They're so young and they just seem to have this chemistry, which was developed in college. But we also can't forget about Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon has been fantastic this season, and he's been fantastic his entire career. Joe Mixon is a guy that they know that they can hand it off to. They know that they can count on him, and they know that Joe Mixon is going to go out there and get that extra yard or two that they need. And I just feel like the Bengals. I understand that the Bengals have arrived early, and I think that this is the end of their arrival. I am picking the Titans to win this game. I think that Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill are going to have Fantastic games. I like this mentality of this Tennessee Titans team, and I think this will be our best division game that we see this weekend. I think it'll be the closest one. I'm not going to say it's going down to overtime, but I like this game to be a low scoring game, and I'm leaning towards 17-14. What do you say?
There's a ton of defense on both sides of the ball. Tennessee's been playing lights out defensively all season long, allowing their opponents to gain very minimal yards after catch in the secondary, and of course yards up front. I do like Tennessee. I like where they're trending. The Bengals have been good, and Joe Mixon has been a huge fighter, a big component as a part of that running game for Cincinnati. But it's almost going to be impossible. If Derrick Henry gets on a roll for every time he touches a ball, I feel sorry for Cincinnati. So for that reason and that reason only, because they can punch it in, and they have many more weapons. We've seen them pull Adrian Peterson, clearly in the stead of not having Derrick Henry. But I do like Tennessee. I got to pick Tennessee. As far as a low score is concerned, I can see somebody making a huge mistake in the secondary, albeit Cincinnati or even Ryan Tannehill. But I'm going to pick the Titans I'd say a 24-21 win.
Okay, I like that. I like that score. I like that score a lot. So we also have another division game that's going to be happening this weekend. This is 49ers versus the Packers, and we've seen Aaron Rodgers struggle in the playoffs against these 49ers, his hometown 49ers. And this year, it just feels a little bit different. And Aaron Rodgers has faced a lot of criticism over the entire season, whether or not it was his issues with the front office, it was his issues with being vaccinated and lying to us and saying he was vaccinated, but ultimately found out that he was inoculated. Just the weekly appearances on the Pat McAfee show. Shout out to Pat McAfee. But just a lot of up and down, emotions that have been going on with Packer fans this season. And then it seems to me that the Packers just keep getting these wins at the end of games that are improbable. I mean, we saw the game against the Cardinals where AJ Green forgets to turn around at the 1 yard line, and then it's an interception, and then that ends the game. We saw Aaron Rodgers get the ball with 32 seconds left early on in the season, and nobody thought, even Tom Brady, even if Jesus Christ himself had 32 seconds, he can't win this game. But Aaron Rodgers somehow pulled it off, and it just seems like he's always making plays when it counts the most. This is going to be a big game for him because of the whole nemesis between his hometown 49ers. There was talk, if we remember, during the offseason that maybe he would end up in San Francisco. And he still might end up in San Francisco next year. But I feel like this is a trap game for Aaron Rodgers. It's always been. And I'll tell you who I got after you tell me who you got.
I do like the Devontae Adams, obviously Fresno State alumnus Devontae Adams, who will be playing in his first playoff game. A lot of things to like about Aaron Rodgers and his play on field. Off the field, he's a dumpster fire, but on the field, he's an absolute just master when it comes to reading defenses, being able to throw balls up there where his receivers can only be the ones to grab those and snatch them right out of the air. 49ers have had their number for many, many years, especially against teams like the LA Rams or /St. Louis Rams. They've won the last 2 out of 3 matchups. They just seem to have different teams ever. We've seen it again when the Giants play the New England Patriots. We've seen, Eli Manning and the Giants somehow have the Patriots number in the secondary, just knowing how to win football games. I mean, heck, they beat New England in a Super Bowl. So it would not surprise me to see Jimmy Garoppolo. And of course you have Kittle and you have Mostert and you have, there's just so many weapons for the 49ers. It's gonna be a slugfest, and of course you're right. I think Aaron Rodgers may have already had a conversation with Mike Shanahan in regards to what that looks like. Excuse me, Kyle Shanahan,
yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, or even his dad. Mike, throw that in the conversation.
Yeah, you
never know.
Daddy is somewhere in the phone book.
He's all over. It's on a quick dial. But I'm pretty sure he's had the conversation already with Aaron Rodgers in regards to where he would want to be in the following season. I honestly think there could be some truth to it, but again, it's all about the rumor mill, and I don't make cheese and I don't whine. So
I tell you who is making cheese. Jimmy Garoppolo is making a lot of cheese.
Jimmy Garoppolo is making a lot of cheese. Now, if he gets past this hump, he's scheduled to not only make incentive money, but he could end up coming back to the 49ers with Trey Lance under his tutelage in 2022.
So let me ask you this, Rudy Reyes, while we're on the topic of Jimmy Garoppolo, because Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the most polarizing topics in the NFL. Now, I know that he gets paid a lot of money, and let's just face it, I'm not into men, but he is the best looking quarterback that we have in the league. It's not even close. I mean, it's not even close. But he gets a lot of flack for being, such a good looking guy, such an overpaid guy. But ultimately, when you go and watch Jimmy Garoppolo and he's mic'd up on the sidelines, you watch those NFL films, you see the way that he talks to his line, you see the way he talks to his receivers after they make a mistake. Let's say they run the wrong route and he throws an interception. And to the casual fan, when the wide receiver runs the wrong route, a lot of casual fans are like, I can't believe the quarterback. But the ones that, in my opinion, the ones that are not the best leaders, they will go out there like Phillip Rivers, and then they'll show you up and they'll tell you that they'll make it animated on the sidelines, basically let everyone know that it wasn't their fault. But Jimmy Garoppolo just seems to be that consummate professional. And I've seen him mic'd up. I've seen him talk to wide receivers after they made a mistake, and he just seems like the ultimate leader. And whether or not that is just innate inside of him or whether or not he got that from Tom Brady, I feel like he gets a lot of unfair criticism. And I understand that Trey Lance, has this unique skill set, but I feel like if I'm a 49ers fan, I am rocking with Jimmy Garoppolo as long as Jimmy Garoppolo wants to be a 49er. What do you say?
There's a lot of things that I like about Jimmy Garoppolo. The fact that he has rings, not that he started and not even that he played as a New England Patriot. And I think a lot of that has to do with number 12 that had worn that jersey and had consecutive starts. And that is Tom Brady. You're talking about good looking guys or whatever. There was a conversation about Tom Brady being
he's number
one
2.
of top 50. Well, that was more like 10 years ago for Tom Brady, if you think about it. I mean, yeah, everybody cleans up well. Heck, I even clean up well after being thrown face down in the mud. No, but, seriously, when you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, there's a lot of things to like about him. The problem that I have with Jimmy Garoppolo is the fact that his inability to read defenses, some of the question marks that I have for his throwing capabilities once he has that ball, it's almost like he wants to double snap, double pump, doesn't quite work to his advantage, misreads defenses, and allows that pressure to get to him and his inability to get the ball downfield. However, with that being said, if he can overcome those obstacles, the mental obstacles that we've seen quarterbacks like Sam Darnold, quarterbacks like Dwayne Haskins, guys who were expected to be the man, overcoming those obstacles, I think Jimmy Garoppolo could be, if again, it's all based on his quarterback play, which is really what I'm concerned with as far as what this divisional game holds, how that offensive line performs, allowing him to get rid of that ball. He never been known for having the wheels, but we know that he does, and we've seen him get out of the pocket and scramble for a first down. So it's certainly there, certainly does exist. I'm just worried about his ability to provide the best quarterback play possible to put his team in position to win the game.
And it's interesting that you say that, because if you look at that Dallas Cowboys 49ers game, I mean, the 49ers basically had the game won. And Jimmy Garoppolo makes the mistake that kind of leaves the door open. And basically, the Cowboys weren't able to knock the door. They weren't able to kick the door in. But Jimmy Garoppolo has made mistakes. And we've seen what it looks like when he's not there. We've seen what Trey Lance looked like in his start that he's gotten. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo is dealing with the thumb injury. He's got some issues going on. But if I'm a 49ers fan, I do not want to see Trey Lance at all in this game. I want Trey Lance to sit behind him, learn a little bit. It's kind of very similar to the situation with Jordan Love in Green Bay. I like the unique skill set. I like the fact that we're going to get younger. We're going to get more athletic at the quarterback position. But ultimately, these guys are not ready. And I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo when you look at what Dak Prescott's getting paid, you look at what Patrick Mahomes is getting paid, Josh Allen's getting paid. Ultimately, I feel like it's not that much. I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of a discount if he can make great decisions in the pocket. And I feel like this is going to be a great game. But I'll tell you right now, I'm picking the Packers. I'm rocking with Aaron Rodgers all day. There's no way that I'm going against Aaron Rodgers in this playoffs. So I'll tell you right now, I'm picking Aaron Rodgers all the way. So who do you have in this game, and what do you think the score will be?
To be honest with you, I do like Aaron Rodgers in this game. And as I preface this entire conversation in regards to what he has done off the field being a dumpster fire, the guy is a tactician under center. He's done it time and time again. He's not someone that anybody should take lightly. His ability to get that ball downfield, get it to the right guys at the right time when it counts, and that's basically every single time. He has yet to throw an interception in any postseason. He hasn't thrown interceptions, I think, in like 3 months. And it's not that he's played a lot. Not that he's played on every single down, because he hasn't. But the times that he did play, there were no interceptions thrown. So to be honest with you, as I said before, we've talked about this before, Barry, Aaron Rodgers is the NFL MVP in my eyes. That's how I look at it. And of course, between Devontae Adams, between that very stout defense, they're going to have problems stopping the run for the 49ers. They really have to load that box and put some disguised blitz packages in front of the 49ers to get them to think they're going to blitz, but then back off in coverage if you're a defensive back. But I'm still going with the Green Bay Packers. There's just no way. It's going through Lambeau. It's at home. It's a frozen tundra.
Ugh.
It's the frozen, fruit cake you got from your aunt last year. I mean, this is exactly the game that will get Aaron Rodgers closer to the MVP trophy. I'm going Packers, but this is going to be a slugfest. This is not going to be a low score. This is not a defensive kind of game. It doesn't have that type of swag associated with it. So I'm picking 31-28 Green Bay.
I was going to go 28-24. I feel like that running game is going to be a factor for the 49ers. And Kyle Shanahan, to his credit, he has never wavered on his game plan. If he tells you before he goes into the game that what we're going to do is we're going to run it right down your throat, he runs it down your throat, and it just seems to work for them. So I feel like the running game is going to be a factor for the Packers. If anything, that's going to be their weakness in this game. But I always like Aaron Rodgers in a close victory. Now, we are Go Long Live. I am Barry Long the second, not the first, not the third. He is Rudy Ramon Reyes, and his favorite food is chicken enchiladas. I just found that out. I love that, man. I love that. Now,
make sure we meet. You bring me a tray. Okay, just a small. Doesn't have to be big. Just a small tray.
When I come out there and see you in LA, when you're out there for the Super Bowl, then I will definitely buy you some chicken enchiladas, my friend. And I will have onions on my plate. That's just how I roll.
You can have all the onions. You can have mine.
All right, so let's talk about these coaching vacancies in the NFL. There's a lot. We both read an article, that basically picked a coach per team. And I want to run off these names from this article on CBS Sports. And I just want to ask you your opinion because I like a couple of these names. And some of them I'm not really a fan of. But the first one and the one that I like the most is Byron Leftwich becoming the head coach of Jacksonville because of his familiarity with the fan base. He played there for a few years. He's in Florida right now. We've seen what he's been able to do with Tom Brady as his quarterback. They've had the top three offenses the last 3 years, okay? And Tom Brady's only been there for 2. So that means that one of those years was Jameis Winston. And he was able to get crab legs, Jameis Winston, to be one of the top passers in the league. So I really love what Byron Leftwich brings to the table as an offensive coordinator, and I think that he'll be a great head coach. What do you think about Jacksonville picking up Byron Leftwich?
Well, I like Byron Leftwich. I liked him as a Steelers backup, perennial quarterback. I do like Byron Leftwich.
Everything is got to be Steelers.
Everything. Well, hey, he was a Steeler. You could have the same conversation about Michael Vick. Michael Vick was a Steeler for a short amount of time, too. And Tony Brown complaining he couldn't catch the left-handed thrown balls. But that's not like a personal problem, just like everything else a personal problem with Tony Brown. But when you look at Jacksonville, they had Trevor Lawrence. Byron Leftwich has been nothing short of stellar with Tom Brady. I mean, gosh, the guy's just been an absolute master up to this point and has had the privilege of working with a lot of great coaches, a lot of great quarterback coaches. The guy just knows how to put a game plan together and knows how to execute it. And that's one of the reasons why I like Byron Leftwich. The fact that you associate it with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the fact that there's even a chance. Tell me there's a chance. I don't know. there could be a chance. There's something to it. They're interviewing him. So clearly there is an opportunity for him to go from just being an OC to being a head coach. Now, as a sidebar, Barry, you might know this or might not, but you see a lot of different positions that have nothing to do with being head coaches because they're coordinators. But some of these guys are being talked about as being a head coach, even though they've served maybe 1 year as a coordinator. That's not necessarily bad. That's not necessarily great because they don't have the skill set. It's not refined. They haven't been in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Whereas if you're a lines coach or whatnot, they have some familiarity. But again, it depends on if the Rooney Rule is going to take effect. If they're going to say, you know what, this is the best available guy for the best available position. I like the move. I hope Jacksonville does get Byron Leftwich.
And for those who don't know about the Rooney Rule is a rule instituted by the Rooney family, the owners of the Steelers. And it basically this is for the casual fan out there, before you hire a candidate for a head coaching, whatever position that you need to fill, you got to interview an African-American or minority. And that's just it seems like it's, predated, but it really does make a difference in the hire. Because if you look at specifically Mike Tomlin was just brought in just to fulfill the Rooney Rule and basically blew them away. And now you see a guy that has been there that just looks he's just phenomenal as their head coach. But let's talk about that, okay? Rooney Rule aside, there are certain guys, in my opinion, that are just coordinators, and there are certain guys that are just head coaching material. Now, I look at a guy like Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels has been very successful as the offensive coordinator for the Patriots. The first tenure and the second tenure. And then we were able to see what he was able to do this year with Mac Jones. So, but when he was the head coach in Denver, he didn't really look the part. It just didn't feel like Josh McDaniels is going to be a head coach in this league for a long time. Look at Todd Bowles, who I affectionately call Todd Bowles, because every time they show his face, he looks like he's got to poop. but Todd Bowles is being considered right now for head coaching vacancies. And he is the defensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And to me, he just does not look like a head coach. Okay, so I think that certain people are head coaches, certain people are coordinators. And then on the flip side, Jason Garrett. I didn't like Jason Garrett as the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants, but I did like him. I do like him as a head coach on the sideline. So I just feel like certain people have a certain skill set, and there are certain guys who are just head coaches, certain guys who are just offensive coordinators. Your thoughts? It goes back to tutelage. It goes back to how much experience they've had. It goes back to questioning whether or not former head coaches that flip-flopped and went back to defensive coordinator. Tom Bowles is a good example of that. The only way that you'll see a bowel movement is when his team goes less than 500. Okay, let me just put that out there. Right I like that.
So when that does happen, you look at him and say, well, is he ready to go back to that mode? Is he ready and prepared? Does he have the skill set? Has he refined it? Can he be that head coach? Same question about Dan Quinn. He came out from being, he was ousted last year from being Atlanta's head coach because he couldn't get the job done. And I think that had something to do with Matt Ryan. Maybe he has an argument he had with the general manager. Nobody knows. But he goes over to the Cowboys, and now all of a sudden they were perennial leaders until they basically did themselves in, not at the hands of Dan Quinn. He wasn't there, holding on to players and causing penalties, and it wasn't like that at all. It was Dan Quinn not being prepared to being a head coach once he acquired that position for the Atlanta Falcons. Now, all of a sudden, he goes and has a conversation with the Denver Broncos. I think it's a good fit for him. I don't know that it's a great fit for him, but I do know that he has a couple options. Denver's bound to draft a quarterback at some point, whether albeit this year, or maybe even the following year. Depends on what the development is like for Locke in the offseason. However, I do like Dan Quinn. He's a player's coach to the core of who he is. And for some reason, he gets a job in Denver, one of the more ideal places to get a head coaching job. If you can handle the thin air in Denver, hopefully not filled with hot air, just thin air. So you were talking about New York Giants vacancies. I don't know that I like the Brian Flores interview process with the Dolphins. The Dolphins, let me start that over. So Brian Flores was a former Dolphins defense coordinator.
Yeah.
Did
Our coach,
okay.
head coach.
Did okay as the head coach, for the Dolphins. The
Yeah.
problem that I have with the New York Giants from an organizational standpoint, you're moving at par. You're going from one organization that doesn't know what they're doing, even on Sundays, to a New York Giants team that doesn't know what they're doing, and that's twice on Sunday. So there is no real gain, but there's no real loss either. I think it's a real parallel move for a guy like Brian Flores. They're obviously not done, but they want the best head coach for the best possible player there in Miami, and obviously Brian Flores is not going to work out well with Tua Tagovailoa. And this one kind of shocked me a little bit. If we go down this very random list of head coaching interviews, Doug Peterson. Where's he been? Former head coach from, he was I don't know, he came out of nowhere, really, to be honest with you. He was sitting on the sidelines eating bonbons, and
ever since he left Philadelphia,
he left Philly once they ousted him for Nick Sirianni. Yeah. Here we go. Again, a phone call from the Minnesota Vikings. I actually like this move, to be quite honest with you.
Me too.
I don't know that anybody's going to be able to coach up Kirk Cousins. I don't think Kirk Cousins can coach up Kirk Cousins. I think Cousins is who he is, his brother's, sister's, uncle's, dad's, brother's cousin on his mom's side. I don't care who he is. I just don't know that Kirk's second or third or 25th Cousins is really going to be able to get the job done. I don't think he's the guy in Minnesota, which makes the job for Doug Peterson that much more difficult to find the guy in the draft or even free agency for that matter.
Let's remember what Doug Peterson was to the Philadelphia Eagles. My man had Carson Wentz operating at a very high level. Then Carson Wentz gets injured, and then he wins the Super Bowl with Nick freaking Foles. So I think that if there was a quarterback whisperer, so to speak, kind of like Bruce Arians was before he was a head coach, he was considered the quarterback whisperer. I feel like Doug Peterson it can be that guy. I feel like he can get the most out of a backup quarterback or a second string type of guy. And I really do like Doug Peterson going to Minnesota. And one that I really do like, you're right, Brian Flores going to the Giants kind of doesn't really feel like it fits. But I feel like Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, I feel like he just looks like a Giants coach. He feels like a Giants coach. He's already in New York. He'll bring that same kind of mentality to the New York Giants. I like Brian Daboll being interviewed by the Giants instead of Brian Flores. Your thoughts?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I do like Brian Daboll, but like I've said before, you got to use that Rooney Rule. Use a Rooney Rule to find the right guys, because it may not be the low-hanging fruit. It's going to be those guys that already proven themselves working with quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. Now, look, Patrick Mahomes is a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback. There's no question about it. Same conversation about Tom Brady and Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw. We can have that conversation. But when you look at the Rooney Rule and what Eric Bieniemy has done, what he has done with Patrick, not for him, but with him, alongside of him. That means that you're coaching the guy up to be the best that he can be. He's already won one Super Bowl, and they're on the door knocking to win a second one. So if you're going to have anybody in a conversation, it's got to be Eric Bieniemy, because of the turnover, the type of association the Chicago Bears need to have with whatever quarterback they're going to start in 2022, whether they're going to draft him or look into free agency to acquire a guy. I'll be honest with you, free agency doesn't have a lot of hope for solid quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the draft is a little bit, the cupboard's bare there too. But all right, real quick, we only have a minute or so. This is the biggest name to come up in this whole coaching vacancy, in my opinion. Jim Harbaugh has been associated with the Las Vegas Raiders. Do you like that move? Yes or no?
For the right money, for the right amount, I think anybody is available, even Jim Harbaugh. But I will say this: I don't think he's a great fit. I don't think he's a solid fit. And I just don't see it happening. But it would surprise me.
I could see him and Derek Carr yelling at each other on the sidelines and it going viral. I don't think that's the right fit for him. I do want to see him back in the NFL ultimately, but I'm not a fan of that. The Las Vegas Raiders being associated with Jim Harbaugh. We are Go Long Live. I am Byron II. He is Rudy Reyes. Real quick, Rudy, tell them how they can find you, boss.
Yeah, you can find me at RudDogReyes on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. Facebook, you name it, I'm on it.
Yes, sir. And you can find me on Twitter at Radio Barry Long. You can find me on IG at Barry Long _2 or Facebook at Barry Long _II. And chicken enchiladas, brother.
That's right. I'll be looking for the tray. No onions. Hold the onions.
Real quick, the meme of the day. Somebody found James Harden at Walmart restocking. This is like the what do they call it? The neighborhood Walmart? You know,
Yeah.
like the one where it's only groceries.
The neighborhood market.
Yeah, neighborhood market. There you go. Well, this guy's in the back stocking what looks to be like tangerines or something. But that is James Harden. That's his side gig. Shout out to Dunk Cinemas for the meme of the day. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow at noon. Remember, stay focused, stay motivated, stay inspired, and remember, you're capable of doing anything, so go out and do it. We'll see you tomorrow.
Like it. Never leave it.
Never leave it. Peace.